For this session, I wrote 119 words. For this session, I wrote 73 words. For this session, I wrote 186 words. From time to time, I really struggle with my alienness. But could I really be a writer if I did not have that sense of unbelonging to the world I walk upon? Where I mainly struggle is with my own intensity that I feel like most people in the world find it difficult to receive. And so I do find myself filtering in my interactions for the sake of understanding one another. I understand my intensity, that it can be overwhelming for most people who aren't at that level. And out of respect for people's differences, I do try to moderate myself, but sometimes it ends up just becoming this kind of bottled up entity within my soul that then bites me in the ass from time to time. I think inherently I struggle with this sense of authenticity where I embrace my moderation as part of my authenticity, but there's always that deeper level of me that knows it's not the case. And sometimes I forget that these energies accumulate within myself, and it gets pretty emotionally difficult to sort out. It gets messy. I've lived a lot of life in professional settings, and I think this professionalism has really primed me to be very hard on myself when I'm going through messy phases of my life. But I do try to remind myself that, nature does not care when trees or flowers grow out of line. This year, I am really learning to embrace the feminine wild within me. I will have to admit that I have not been so friendly with this shadow aspect of myself. Over the years, I have made a lot of peace with myself in many qualities, but I definitely haven't really looked at my feminine wild all too much. So this year I am learning to befriend her, I am learning to understand her, I'm learning to figure out what she needs to blossom. Part of my intensity is also largely due to the fact that I am a very sensitive person, and I have really wrestled with that in my life. I've struggled to set boundaries without closing off my heart and coming across as uncaring or unfeeling. And I can't quite say that I've fully mastered myself in that area of finding that balance between being a caring person and a very sensitive person, but also not letting all of that into me. I have gotten better at channeling these difficult energies into writing. It's less about writing about these difficult energies and more of using that state also to push me into a writing session and making creative use out of that kind of emotional, cerebral state I'm in. I'm also still trying to figure out this balance of having my me time, my alone time, and then also putting myself out in the world, and that has been very challenging lately. When I go out and about, I feel too much, I care too much, and then I come home and I have all this that I have to sort through. But I'm working on it, and I am trying to be more gentle with myself as I'm growing in this direction. Moving on to books. New additions to my collection, beginning with a book I purchased using some points. I got The Golden Ass by Apuleius. From a local bookstore visit, I got quite the haul, and I'm gonna try to just quickly run through them. So beginning with Nostromo by Joseph Conrad. Then we have The Green Knight by Iris Murdoch, which I recently finished, finally, her philosophy book, Existentialists and Mystics. And in a future vlog, I will share some interesting insights that I gathered through that read. Next up, I got Ward Number 6 and Other Stories by Anton Chekhov. And then I got Chronicle of a Death Foretold by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I read 100 Years of Solitude in high school, and that was one of the most pivotal works that I've read in my youth, but I actually haven't read anything else by him, so having discovered this, I jumped on it. It's also a very beautiful cover. And then I also found The General in His Labyrinth as well. Very, very cool covers. I love it. Next, I found Sketches by Boz by Mr. Dickens. And this is apparently, yes it is, it's his first published book. So I'm very excited to get into this. And then I found a copy of Mason and Dixon by Thomas Pynchon. It's a big book. And then lastly, I finally decided to give Mr. P.G. Wodehouse a go as well for some humor. That is all that I have for my book haul. And then now I'm gonna get to my writing session, and I will add that clip at the end of this video. For this session, I wrote 56 words.